young surgeons from Europe. We've got Andrea, Radhika, Vito, and we'll start by each of them introducing themselves, if you don't mind. So rather than me introducing you, please tell us about yourself.
Hello everyone, my name is Andrea Russo. I run my private practice in Brescia, which is 1 hour away from here. So I will try to share it with you my story, how I could make it possible, because I started from zero 6 years ago. And somehow you need to learn the job, you need to learn how to do the surgery, how to deal with the patients, how to deal with the companies, and just in a few words, how to run your practice. So this is my reality, and together with my colleagues, maybe we can share some pearls together.
Yeah.
Radhika.
Thank you.
Yes.
Andrea, where are you based?
I'm based in Brescia. Brescia,
Okay.
which is 1 hour away
That's
from
not
here.
far.
Yeah.
Great. Fantastic. My name
Nice.
is Radhika Rampat. I am a consultant from London. I'm an anterior segment surgeon based in the Royal Free Hospital starting soon, but I'm also the Associate Academic Director of the Refractive Surgery Alliance Global Fellowship Network. So we'll be talking a little bit about that later as well.
So it's a pleasure to be here with you guys, Ben, Andrea, Radhika. So I work instead in Brescia as well, at university, where I'm a professor of ophthalmology, and my experience it's on cornea and refractive. Also on I do a lot of research on all the ocular surface disease, and it's a pleasure to be with you. So Ben, the stage is for you.
Thank you. And I'm LaHood. I'm a cataract and refractive surgeon from Australia, so a long way from home. Well, thank you guys. So why don't we kick it off by talking about one thing that's really changed in training lately, which has been about simulation. So I know that in Australia, we've recently added to our curriculum that we have to do simulation as part of training. It hasn't really caught on. Vito, I think you've got probably the most experience with this at the moment.
Yes, I think for us, it's my experience was before. In the last 10 years, I work in UK between Liverpool and London, and simulation has been always very interesting for two reasons. One was, of course, to train the trainee to get ready for the next step, but also for research. Because what we are looking for to standardize the procedure. Standardize the procedure is very important for improve the outcome. So it's important have a better outcome, so research side, but also to give a better learning curve to the trainee. So I think there are different levels of a trainee in terms of when you start the training, the residency, you need to have some simulation, and it's very important. This simulation needs to be not just surgical but also clinic. So my suggestion is always to keep all the opportunity that you have. So take all the opportunity that you have. At the moment, for example, you have much more exposure also to podcast or YouTube or everything. You can see much more. Of course, being live in presence is much better, because when you're in presence, you see something behind the curtain, what's happened, and all the process. So simulation means not just do some surgical things, but also simulation look what's happening in the environment, how to behave with the patient, how to speak with the patient, happen a complication, how to speak with the patient. So then when you move on, like a young registrar to senior registrar to fellow, your needs change. And from my point of view, more senior you come, you need to choose which subspecialty or which area or which mentor you like it, because then the mentor take a very important place for you. And the mentor can give you like a very good tips, even surgical. If you do a simulation of, let's say, wet lab, dry lab, probably dry lab before more for a young registrar, and wet is more for old one, but give you tips that then can speed up your learning curve a lot, I think. So simulation, for my point of view, it's needed. You can see in the airplane, most of the people use it, so you can't run without doing simulation. You can't run an airplane without it. So I think this is my experience. What do you think about?
I mean, as we were talking previously, I think simulation is incredibly important. I mean, can you imagine the number of times, we don't have many times when we need to shout for the anterior retractor, right? But you see the nurses and you see everybody in a panic. That's not how it should be. We should all be cool, calm, collected and say, well, this is what I need. Where's the pack? And the patient's awake, so you have to use the correct wording. These things nobody will explain to you, right? So you need to do it outside of the theater, outside of that stressful area where you are looking after your patient and say, right, let's plan how I would deal with this issue. But I think, I mean, being trained at Moorfields, we had access to the ISI, and there was a certain amount of modules that we had to complete before even touching the eye, right? I mean, that's a great step forward, but I think we can do more. We have problems with access. I think access is an issue everywhere. So now you have the opportunities, right? You have the ISI or whatever, but then you have to have a lock and a key and a logbook, and somebody has to tell you the code, and you forgot the code, and you can't, you know, these are the issues now. We have availability of simulation. We don't have enough access. So that's the next step. And these are just, I mean, there's so many thoughts about it, but these are just a couple of the important things.
I think it's also important to standardize through the country the training and make everyone, comparable, let's say. And probably, let's say for country or Europe, at least have some centralized training center, probably to make it easier to save some costs, but to increase the way to do it.
Do you think that where I am, we have a simulator, but people don't use it?
Why not?
Unbelievable.
Such a waste.
I don't know. Do you have the same problem?
No, we don't have any simulator in my area, but it could be useful for a few points. I believe that Vito said two very important things, because we need in refractive surgery, in one word, standardization. So the simulator helps a lot in achieving that. And you did an excellent analogy with the airline industry, because they have redundancy in simulation, in checklists, procedures. They repeat all the time what to do, when to do, and so on. So we need more standardization, because our field in ophthalmology is more like a factory. We play with microns. So we want to be very repetitive, do all the examination the same way, and everything in refractive surgery starts from the refraction. So please have a protocol for refraction, have a protocol for LASIK, for SMILE, for cataract. So try to be consistent, because if you are consistent, you can develop your nomograms, you can improve your results. So everything in this field starts from standardization, and simulation is pivotal for this.
I think that's a good point.
I think it's very good point. Exactly.
Simulation is one aspect of training. We can practice the basics. We can practice phaco, vitrectomies, these sort of things. But I found that when I was transitioning from being a trainee to being a consultant working in private, suddenly there was a huge gap between the basics I was expected to know as a trainee, and then suddenly I'm meant to know everything about all the latest technology. I'm meant to be a refractive surgeon. I'm meant to know everything. How do you think we close that gap, make it a little bit more smooth? Radhika, do you know what you'd do?
I'll try and keep it short. I mean, look, I think that we're entering a whole new era. Maybe many people don't know about this, but there is something called the World College of Refractive Surgery and Visual Sciences. It's just being developed now in the last 2 years or so, and I'm involved in it because I'm the Associate Academic Director of the Fellowship Program. And so what happens at the end of this fellowship is you have, and this is something that we don't have available, right? Like most countries don't even have a refractive surgery proper fellowships. You just, you complete your training and then suddenly you go under somebody's wing, beg, say, please, can I join your practice? And even then you don't get the full width and depth of the knowledge that you really need to gain. And then you start working on these private patients, And so what you're going to get with this fellow of the World College of Refractive Surgery is you're going to get a standardization, you're going to get a curriculum-based teaching, you're going to have a sort of global network of fellows. So you're going to suddenly be able to do it in your own hometown, go to a local person, get attached to a preceptor who is checked, and then you are also interviewed to be a fellow. Not everyone can be a fellow. And then can you imagine that you are being taught by this preceptor throughout the week, learning LASIK, learning SMILE and everything. You're doing a surgical logbook, you're doing research projects with them, and then on the weekend, you log online for about 3 hours on a Saturday afternoon or evening, and you're talking to about 20, at the moment I've got 20 fellows under our fellowship program, and we talk to them in Turkey, South Africa, America, and we basically go, okay, well, today we want to learn from our curriculum about IOL calculations. Oh, here is Giacomo Savini giving you a personal talk about it, or this is Damien Gatnell, or Dan Reinstein. All these people are talking to us, and we're having conversations with them and discussing cases as well. I mean, it's an incredible platform, and I think this is truly the future of training, because this is what's been missing all this time. So, I mean, the only thing I can say to anybody who's looking for training in the future is get a mentor, first of all, just generally to get you through training, because that's the best way to go forward. And number two is join the RSA, you know, look at the amount of availability there is in terms of teaching, training. Even if you're not in the program, there's a lot available there. So, I mean, that's my that's the shortest I can tell you. I'm just so passionate and excited about this. So everyone should look up the World College of Refractive Surgery and Visual Science.
I think it's a great opportunity, because so far the refractive surgery was a subspecialty, but they've never been recognized as a body. But having people like Andrea, that has huge experience on refractive surgery, he can teach you, or he can follow you, or he can tell you which are the standard way to do it. Have for more country, and it's great. It's great, and it's needed. I think this kind of proposal, this kind of program, will help also to be recognized as a body, but to make stronger and help in the end the patient. I
think it's needed.
In the end the patient will be, doesn't matter where he goes, but he will have a standard care, the best care, well recognized.
Yeah. I mean, for me, in Australia, not many people want to do refractive surgery, which I think we can all agree it's the best specialty in the world. So, why are they not wanting to do it? And I think part of it has been difficulty finding a fellowship, a little bit of stigma that no one wants to say they want to be a refractive surgeon. But the hardest thing has been getting experience in the different areas. Like, you could learn how to do a good cataract, but no one wants to teach you laser, no one wants to teach you how to do ICLs. So putting it all together, and you'll be able to do little parts of that anywhere. That's right.
I think the best thing that we find is mentor, like that they are happy to share their knowledge. That is the main things, because it's not easy, to find it. This is the problem.
Yeah.
They are not easy, because sometimes, they are protective, or,
Yeah. Andrea?
Well, I think you're right, because there is kind of a stigma against refractive surgeon, but there is nothing wrong with refractive surgery. Nowadays, we can deliver beautiful results, excellent results. We don't even talk about side effects, let's say about myopia correction, because they just see better than they did with the contacts or with the glasses, because they get rid of the magnification, they see brighter, they see clearer. So we have beautiful technology now in our hands. And it's like having a Formula One car, so you need a driving license. So this is why the World College of Refractive Surgery is needed, in order to guide these people, these colleagues, to learn, maybe to certify the knowledge, and to consider refractive surgery not as a subspecialty, but maybe a super specialty kind of plastic surgery compared to regular surgery. So it's something that you need the skills to practice the proper way.
I think you're right. I would like to call myself a super specialist rather than a subspecialist. I like it.
Well, refractive surgery is its own specialty, and that's what we're trying to put forward globally. And now, talking about the stigma, I think there's something really key there that, yes, it used to be for private patients. It used to be for people who are paying, but now there's another revolution that actually is being headed by parts of the RSA, is that why not provide refractive surgery to people who are in underdeveloped countries for free, for low price, for whatever they can pay, and actually just change the way we look at refractive surgery. I mean, how expensive is it to have glasses or to have contacts? I mean, these patients, they are these patients in certain countries, they're unable to afford it. They're just walking around without seeing because they think that's acceptable for them. They're no longer functioning in their societies because of it. And if we can just change the way we look at refractive surgery and say that it shouldn't just be for the private patient, why not try and, okay, if each refractive surgeon did just 10 charity surgeries a month, I mean, that's a huge number of patients that we are, I don't know, we're improving their life, we're changing their socioeconomic situation and status, and then their children will benefit and their children will benefit. I mean, it's a huge thing. And so these are the kind of conversations that are happening now in the world of refractive surgery. It's no longer just about, making money. It's about actually it's a problem. So many people are blind because they cannot see because they need glasses, and so we're actually curing that problem. It's a whole subspecialty. It's not a subspecialty. It's a whole specialty in itself.
I agree.
It is.
Do you think that with all these new techniques, all these new lasers, new lenses, that we should have some kind of certification? You mentioned about this, Andrea.
Why not?
Do you think there should be only certain people should be able to use this technology?
Probably, I would say yes, because we think about the excimer laser. So you want to know perfectly what you are doing in order not to do disasters and maybe to recover. So you need the parachute. You need how to deal with a topo-guided treatment, how to deal with the epithelium masking, how to measure the epithelium. So you need the skill, you need the equipment, and you want to have the skills to fix it. Because before you crash, or maybe after the crash, you need to adjust the patient. So I believe that we should know the whole story, starting from the refraction and ending with eventually enhancements or maybe therapeutic refractive surgeries, which is a very satisfying topic. So this is why something is needed.
Something's needed. And do you agree, Radhika, that perhaps there should be a license? Or
and I mean, I think that once you have, say, a standardized curriculum, and within that, we're also looking at, as you were talking about, exactly what you're saying. What is necessary is happening right now. We are starting at talking to groups about standardizing how we treat patients, etc. But as a part of that, sometimes somebody from a company will come and teach you how to do it, and then they'll watch you for X number of. So there is some.
There is already
there is already a little checklist there. But really, what you need is I think maybe certification for each thing, maybe a step too far potentially. I think we already have some checklists there. But yes, it's something to always consider and push boundaries at. I always question: are we safe enough? Are we doing the right the right way? Of course,
Safety.
I agree with you. Absolutely. But having a mentor, like I said, from early on is so incredibly important in training. I had I was fortunate enough to have mentors such as Damien Gatinel and Guillaume de Belmanier and Alain Sade, and they were all Team Gatinel, and it's really changed the way I approached my training. We all think that there's a set way of training. We're talking about training, there's a set way, I do step 1, step 2, step 3, but actually you need to look beyond the horizon to the next thing. There's so much more we can achieve. And so, it's exciting time for training, for sure. Yeah.
And what do you think, Vito? Do you think that we should be limiting people?
I think the certification need to be a plus, but doesn't need to limit the people, because you don't want the other way around in terms of the people that are in doesn't let you go in. So you need to be a plus, and this help the patient, help to standardize the procedure, but we need to find a way to avoid the other problem. For this reason, I'm saying does not need to limit. So you can perform refractive surgery just if you have a certificate.
I understand. You don't want to exclude people.
Exactly.
You
need to be inclusive. Exactly.
This is why standardization in the curriculum is needed. Like when you become a professor, everybody can become a professor, but you need to meet a few requirements. And this is the reason the World College of Refractive Surgery.
Absolutely.
You have to know the steps so you can take them.
Exactly. It's accessible for everyone.
Now, the other aspect of training I wanted to talk about is something that's dear to my heart, because I'm a typical surgeon. I am terrible with money. I have spent way too much coming here and traveling and not looking after the practice. Nobody has ever taught me economics, being a boss, looking after the finances.
Yeah.
All through medical school, all through ophthalmic training, all through fellowship, no one's taught me a thing. And we make some big purchases. We buy lasers, we buy practices. Andrea, I know you've got some experience with this that's changed your life. You've undergone some training in business?
Well, yeah, this is very true because the medical school, they teach us the theory. In Italy, we have a problem which is the simulation, which is the surgery because of all the reasons. However, worldwide, they don't teach you how to do business, and the refractive surgery ultimately is very much connected with business, at least for the investments that you need to afford. You need to buy the equipment, which is expensive, you need to buy the practice, you need to hire your technicians, ODs, maybe colleagues, you need to deal with the companies, get prices, you need to deal with firing the employees.
Hiring and firing.
All this stuff. So, of course, there is not a school to become an entrepreneur. However, you need the skills. And once again, the Refractive Surgery Alliance, in the person of Guy Kazarian, invented this executive MBA that I did in 2019 in Chicago at the Northwestern University, and it's a very dense program where people can fly in for 1 week. So you start early in the morning, you end late in the evening, you stay all the time with the teachers, and in this university they have excellent teachers. So one name is Tim Cook, is a teacher of the university sometimes, and so, but you share the knowledge with the teachers, and most importantly, you share the reality with your peers, because when you go to the university, when you go to an MBA, at least for me, you learn 50% from the teacher and all the rest is from the peers, because you can share, you can compare, how do you deal with this problem, what are the rules in the US, what are the rules in Australia. In Italy, for instance, we don't have the ODs, we don't have the optometrists, so we need somehow to overcome, to solve the problem, and just to consider different perspectives gives you the extra tools to solve the problem.
And has it changed your life?
Very much, because it's a truly life-changing experience. Because first of all, you learn what is happening in the other corners of the world. Then this gives you the courage to go ahead, the courage to make investments, the courage to open new locations. It's doable, of course. You need to...
You can analyze if it's good or not.
Exactly. So if they do it in the US, so let me try how can do it here in Italy. Of course, you have to translate this from the Italian perspective, in the Italian law. But you know, it's doable, and so now I'm starting to thinking about opening a new location, hiring new colleagues working for me, because at the end of the day, we need to find a balance between work and free time, because all of us, we have 168 hours per week. So we need to find the balance to put everything together. In other words, we are the bottleneck, and we need to hire the right people, maybe to train the right people. And once again, this is not really taught at the medical school, but you need to find a way to do so, and if you want to scale and thrive.
Has it given you more time, or are you now surgeon, CEO, and there's less time?
Next question, please.
Well, I mean,
and Radhika, you've had some. You're thinking of doing it.
I mean, yeah, I'm super excited. So, as a part of my directorship, I'm actually going to be doing the physician CEO next year, and I'm really excited to, learn that part of being a consultant, of being an attending, and having qualified. Because I think, if you're going to be entering that world, if you go in naively, you may spend so much time wasting your time, doing the wrong thing. And so I feel like I'm at the beginning of my practice, and I think this is the perfect time to do it, so that I don't have to make mistakes and have bad habits that I have to unlearn. I'm excited to just learn it the right way. So no, absolutely.
And so it is a lot of time. How do you both think about going to Chicago all the time? looking forward to it, or more it's been difficult?
Well, it's a very dense program. So the good news is that you go back and forth from Chicago 4 times in a year. So it's doable. But it's an investment.
Yeah.
So it completely pays for itself.
Yeah.
Because, of course, it's a cost in terms of money, but especially in terms of opportunity.
Time,
because,
yeah.
of course, you spend your time. But it's a good thing because the fact that it was in Chicago means that you create kind of a bubble in a different time zone
one
with
can get
different
to you.
people, right? No smartphone, no nothing, and you stay with your mates starting in the morning and in the evening. So you start thinking in a different way, and it was fun.
That's good.
Yeah.
Now, I think that sort of wraps us up. Is there anything anyone from the panel would like to say, or would anyone from the audience like to ask the great panelists any questions at all about any of those aspects of training or the Refractive Surgery Alliance, MBA? Yeah, please.
Yes, go ahead.
I don't think we'll hear you either
No.
way. so- You can just yell at us.
That
Please.
they may.
Speak close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello, can you hear me? Okay, my question is that there may be many good surgeons, but all may not be good teachers. So that how do you tackle that? You may be a good surgeon, but you may not be able to teach very well. And trainees also have different needs as per. Some might be very good and very quick to pick up, and some might take more time. So how does maybe the Refractive Surgery Alliance or anyone tackle that?
I mean, that's
I
an
think
excellent question,
finding
right?
a mentor.
I mean,
is
exactly.
the big thing.
There
I
were-
know Vito, you're big on mentorship.
Yeah.
So
I think it's quite important the environment where you're working in, and it's quite important the mentor that you choose. For this reason, I think for the second step, probably everyone can manage the first stage until a certain point. Then I think you need to choose your mentor, and it's your choice, the one that allowed to do it. Probably, as you said, there are different surgeons, and you don't choose the one that doesn't teach.
You
can have
naturally
many
gravitate,
mentors as
right?
well.
Yeah.
You don't have to just have
Yeah.
one. That was what
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah.
I have a mentor that taught me a lot about laser, but I have other mentors that taught me about other aspects. So you don't have to put all your eggs in one basket, would be my tip. Radhika, I interrupted you, sorry.
No, sorry. I was just exactly what I was going to say is that I find that we all have a good gut feeling, and we gravitate towards people that think in the same way as us, and that you will just be open-minded and look around, and you have to research, of course. I had to write an email to Damien Gatnell. I thought he's never going to reply. I mean, and he's in a different place, and I was moving to Paris, and actually, he did reply, and so you have to put yourself out there, but also you will naturally gravitate towards people, and they will naturally want you to come and take you under their wing because they can recognize that you have a match, so.
Yeah, I hope that helps. Oh yeah, please.
So what would you look for?
Sorry.
I was saying, what would you look for in a trainee? I'm sure different people would look for different things, but what would be good qualities? Because, for example, a CV just tells you a paper kind of version of a person, and many times trainees don't get the opportunity to do much in residency, and then when they end up applying for competitive fellowships, they don't look as competitive on paper, whereas they may actually be good surgeons. So how do you approach the
how can you
interview
tell?
and all of that?
So the question is, what are the good qualities of a trainee? A lot of times there's a CV, and you just have like a list of what papers they've done, but you don't know that they're a good surgeon. Yes, they've done 100 or 3,000 phaco's, but are they good? And so that's a very good question. And it's difficult, right? Like, it's difficult to say, but unfortunately we only have a certain amount of time. So we look through CVs, and but so you have to differentiate yourself on paper. Of course, you can write things like, low complication rate or whatever below the national standard or audit standard, things like that. But when you're just sending a CV, it's not just about that. You have to interact with a person face to face, online, and put yourself out there and talk to them, and also get a good reference. That would be a good thing. So get a reference from somebody who's watched you do it and thinks you're good, and
I agree.
Vito,
I
you
think
want
in addition to what Radhika said, so you need to have the basic, let's say, But when you choose someone, you see how he's passionate about his work, how he's inquisitive, how he behaves, and if he really like that things, I'm sure he will be a plus. You will see very easily in an interview.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe the human standpoint is still the most important factor in this field. It's way more important than the number of procedures that this person did in the past. Is the curiosity, is how he approaches with the topic. It's like when you hire an employee. So of course it's an investment because both of this person can improve. Having a curious, clever, let's say, fellow helps you as the trainer because
exactly exactly.
It can be a little bit intimidating even.
Also need to be a teamwork, so there are different qualities that in addition to what is a normal people look at.
Actually, can I ask Radhika, with the Refractive Surgery Alliance,
Yeah.
when you apply for fellowship, do you select or does anyone get to do it because there's enough training for everyone, or you just judge on the photos? Or
Yeah, no. He looks good. He's in. No, no. It's of course it's interviews. It's and they're proper long interviews, really delving into the person, trying to find out what they're
Really
about
get
and
to know them.
what. Yeah, exactly. We do really get to know them, and we also interview the preceptors. We don't just, like you said, not everybody can teach. So we interview the preceptors, we interview the fellow, but there is this section available which we will hopefully be disseminating soon. But if you look on RSA, the website. Is that you have the Moores program and some other sort of refractive surgery that you could just log on and log on to different webinars, and so there is different ways of learning. But if you really want to be a fellow, where you're going to end up being really a leader in refractive surgery, that's what we're planning for these new fellows that are coming in, then you will be interviewed. It's not just a quick CV check.
As well. I think we better wrap it up and let everyone have some lunch. But I'd like to thank speakers, Andrea, Radhika, Vito. It's been lovely. I hope you've learnt a little bit about what we think the future is coming with training, what we're doing well, what we're not doing well. And of course, if you want to talk to us afterwards, we'll still be here. So come and have a chat.
Yeah,
thank
please
you guys.
come over.
Thank you guys. Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Andrea. Thank you, Radhika.
Thank you, Ben.